What's up, guys? Barry Gaming here, back with some more Idle Heroes news for August 31st, 2022. So we have the skill card for the Lord of Death Azrael. It looks ominously close to the normal Azrael skill set, although there is some additional big AoE, it seems like. So if if you just read the card for what it is without knowing the damage numbers, it literally almost feels like the identical hero. So we're gonna have to jump in tomorrow and see what he's actually all about. But today we do have a short video, which they haven't done like a hero intro video in quite a while. Honestly, I think since probably late last year. So it's the first one we have. We'll jump into that first, then we'll follow that up and we'll go over his actual skill card. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's get going. So first up, after we see that video, the video was interesting. It was very lackluster in how the hero actually felt. Normally they make it look like some crazy damage numbers, but we'll have to see. We also, of course, know he's going to be an assassin because that's what Azrael is. He's going to be a Transcendence hero, and we have the active skill card information. Now, normally we get this like the weekend before, but for some reason we didn't get any information on him until like today, which is surprising. So let's move over to the actual skill card, because let's be honest, these cards, the only thing they ever give us is like a preview of what the hero kind of looks like and their animations. It looks like he just turned one of his bones into a flute. Interesting. All right, so let's zoom on in here. Let's get going for this Azrael card right here. Still think he looks really cool. One thing I don't like in the animations, I don't know if you noticed it, like each one of the like points in his quote unquote crown like move independently. It feels really weird, but we'll see. So let's go with the active skill first. Advent of Doom deals damage to self, same as Azrael, with every layer of the Curse of Doomsday, dealing extra damage to himself. Meanwhile, inflicts soul castigation on enemies with the lowest HP. So this is different, where with Azrael, you're basically just doing it like to one target. This one, it says enemies. So until we know how many enemies, that's a big question mark. Afterward, deals damage to enemies with the lowest HP. The extra damage equal to a certain percentage of the target's lost HP, with a chance to grant self another layer of Curse of Doomsday. So how many layers of hits does it? Does this one here, where it hits damage to himself, then soul castigation will hit the enemies with the lowest HP. Afterward, deals damage to the enemies with the lowest HP, again with the extra damage equal to a certain percentage of their HP lost, with a chance to grant him. So it's like a 2-layer hit, essentially. More, I guess, depending on how many layers of Curse of Doomsday is. Now, we should probably just go down to the bottom here and look at what Curse of Doomsday actually does. It is a skill effect, and Curse of Doomsday enhances Lord of Death Azrael's skills and increases the damage dealt to enemies after he dies. When self dies, it consumes layers of Curse of Doomsday to deal damage to all enemies, with every one more layer dealing extra damage up to a total of 3 times. So I think him actually dying with layers of Curse of Doomsday, is where his gigantic AoE damage is going to be coming from. It helps him speed himself up to that death point by him hitting himself with the active ability. Very interesting. Soul castigation, I think this is identical to the old one. Deals damage to the target by the same amount of the damage dealt by self's active skill to self. This effect does not land a crit, and its damage is fixed, which cannot be reduced or increased by attributes of skill effects. Which is interesting, because we did notice something was happening to the enemies, but not to himself. Really weird interaction. I don't know if it's going to work the same with him too, but that's basically the same. Let's move up to his basic and passive skills. Changes the basic attack to deals damage to enemies with the lowest HP. Maybe it's like enemy at like the beginning stage, and then enemies when they have like when you get to like V1 or something like that. I don't know. With every layer of Curse of Doomsday dealing extra damage. So yeah, extra damage. Curse of Doomsday is going to be a lot. Does this consume it? Hold on. Inflicting, chance to gain a layer. So none of these are consuming the layers of Curse of Doomsday until the death, it seems like. So let's keep reading through this. Breath of Death, when this hero dies, or no, whenever a hero dies except himself, gains layers of Curse of Doomsday and removes random debuffs from himself. If an enemy dies, self gains energy, and there's a chance to gain extra energy. If an ally dies, increases self speed and holy damage. He could be a really good PvP hero. What this immediately makes me think of, though, is, yeah, I think you guys know what I'm about to say. Star Expedition bosses. Because whenever a hero dies, he gains layers of Curse of Doomsday. If you have like 5 carries with him, that's a lot of layers of Curse of Doomsday. The only issue would be if he dies and a carry revives, like how that works in a battle. Unless he can just keep himself alive, we'd have to see. Because if an ally dies, he also gets more speed and holy damage. So that's a really cool buff. But yeah, heroes dying on the battlefield is going to be the fastest way to get Curse of Doomsday stacks. Might also be worthwhile using an Ignis with him to give him that like 100% control immunity. Even if he does remove debuffs, he can remove other stuff. So yeah, not too bad. Last passive skill right here is Phantom Shadow. When self dies, self transforms into a Phantom Remnant for rounds and then revives self. During the existence of the Phantom Remnant and at the end of each round, he deals damage that ignores armor to all enemies. All enemies, wow. And extra damage equal to a certain percentage of the target's max HP. So it hits like 2 different hits basically, and reduces their healing effect. Okay. Meanwhile, every 1 hero killed reduces self-revival cooldown by a round. We still don't know how many rounds that does take, though, for him. If Phantom Remnant or the active skill's Soul Castigation kills an enemy, Lord of Death Azrael will be revived with a certain percent of HP and energy at the beginning of the next round and gains layer, so 1 of Curse of Doomsday. There's a lot going into this hero. My goodness. Like, he could be really good. He could be kind of bad, too, at the same time. I really don't know what to make of him right now, especially... Like, it's not even the damage numbers that I'm questioning, because he's a Transcendence hero. Chances are those damage numbers are going to be very big. What I'm really wondering in is how fast you can stack up these Curse of Doomsdays. How fast does he revive? Is it going to be like carry where it's like 4 rounds, or, you know, as enemies die, it becomes lower? But then again, meanwhile, every 1 hero killed reduces self-revival cooldown. That's pretty good, because that could count allies too. Again, I'm just thinking like this could be like a really, 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 really strong Star Expedition hero for the boss. And that could be like really huge. So let me know what you guys think. I do think there is potential for him to maybe not just be like the overall most powerful hero, because again, he doesn't do much to disrupt the enemy. He can't dodge like Sword Flash. He doesn't really counterattack. He's like a secondary damage dealer for your overall team, but he could be extremely good in places like Sealand and Star Expedition boss fights. So I'm interested to see what we can cook up for him. Hopefully we'll be building him on Thursday night's live stream. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. I'll see you guys next time.